I think there are advantages to e-commerce or online shopping, right? I was at the Home Depot a couple of weeks ago, and I don't even remember what it was I was looking for, but there were many options on the shelf.
Welcome back to the CEO Moves. Today we are here with Tomer Azenkot, CEO of V24. V24 is a digital customer experience platform. It helps leading brands deliver great person-to-person customer experience that accelerates their digital business. I'm going to go through this entire description of the company here because I really like the words that are used. It is powered by high-definition video chat, text chat, AI-enabled chat bots, co-browsing, screen sharing, online appointment setting, and more. V24 enables customer-centric teams to grow online sales, deliver better customer service, and build brand loyalty. I think that's the most important one at the end there for your clients. So without further ado, Tomer Azenkot, you are a CEO that specializes in early stage, mid-sized distressed companies. And you turn them around. And we'd love to hear to start a little bit about V24, and then some of your turnarounds in the past and how they have built up to this latest experience at V24. Welcome.
Thanks, Kurt. Very generous introduction. I hope I can say I'm now specializing in turnarounds and being an early stage CEO. This is actually my first time being a CEO, but I do have experience both in small, let's say, startups as well as mid-sized companies, and growth has been a big part of my success.
You're being too humble. You're being too humble. Yes, you're an expert in turnarounds, in my opinion. But I'm just kidding. Yeah, like it's no easy feat. The turnaround thing is no easy feat, but it's one of those things I think is one of the most fun things to do is to take a company that's on their heels, and for someone to say, yeah, Tomer can handle it. Tomer can. Let's bring Tomer in. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
Was that kind of how it happened, or how did this all come about? I'd love to hear the origin story of why you were tapped to come into this company and take care of it.
so V24 has been around for a while. Originally founded all the way back in 2007, and naturally the company's gone through a number of different pivots. The origin story is actually pretty interesting. Originally, the company was a software development house, actually founded in the UK. So think small team of developers doing kind of any project that comes to them. And one of the asks a couple years in was from an auto manufacturer called Lexus, as they were about to launch in the German market. So you can imagine, Japanese luxury manufacturer trying to compete with, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, etc. They had to really differentiate. And what they asked V24 to build for them was, at that time, a very unique online experience centered around video chat on their website. So when you want to buy a car, instead of having to drive into the dealership, you can at least begin the process online by talking to one of the salespeople over video, and they can show you the car from the comfort of your own home.
I find that fascinating. That's very unique, and I've never heard of anything like this. So let's keep going. Sorry.
So that was the original, let's say, premise, and it was a huge success. Lexus managed to launch successfully in the German market. They're still there today. People are still buying Lexuses despite the local offerings. And then V24 went ahead and productized that offering. So from a bespoke development for a particular customer, it became the product. V24 shifted into a product company. Several years later, as part of a raise around, V24 relocated from Northern England to Boston, where I'm located.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 CEOs later, I was brought in to try to turn things around. So V24 had some good days in, let's say, 2013 through 18, where there was some good growth. There were, a variety of different challenges as many companies face. But one of the things that really set the company back was a technology transition from doing bespoke projects in which you're really building something for a single customer to becoming a SaaS platform. And while that was, of course, the right thing to do, that process, which took several years, really challenged the company. There was a lot of churn. Customers weren't happy during that transition period. But then since then, the past 5 years or so, it's been an incredibly stable platform and up to current expectations of being SaaS.
I'm just trying to picture what a demo looks like in this for the don't show me a demo on this call, but you know, to your point, I think it's very, very highly custom, what you mentioned about going into, taking away the yuckiness of being in a car dealership, right? And in some cases, some people don't like that, going in and having to deal with a salesperson in person. I like the idea of it just being about the purchase, like the car. Like, tell me about the car. Let me see it. You have high definition video. So I like that niche. But if now you're taking that out to what, cosmetics, or what are the other sectors that you're focusing on with now this SaaS platform?
So several different sectors. I'll talk about them in a second. The core of what we want to do is help bring the in-person experience online. There is this really strange gap. If I've been thinking about this now for almost 3 years that I've been at V24. There is this huge gap between the experience you get when you step into a physical location, whether it be purchasing a vehicle or you mentioned cosmetics or any type of high consideration retail. We just signed on, for example, a new customer last week, which is a very high-end watch and jewelry store in New York City. And when you walk in, first of all, there's a security guard that stands at the door. They immediately offer you a cup of coffee or even a glass of champagne. And I think most importantly, when you walk in, you're greeted by someone with a smile who asks you how you're doing and so on. On the website, on the other hand, it's the exact opposite. There's no one there to greet you.
All right.
The website, whether you're buying a $50,000 Rolex or some widget on Amazon for $2, it's actually the same experience more or less. And that's obviously wrong, right? Because it's not the same in the physical locations. So we've had a lot of success in two buckets of use cases. One is where seeing the product is incredibly valuable. And by the way, there is also, of course, overlap between the two where both exist. So seeing the product, when you want to buy a car, or maybe you're in the research phase about which car to buy, you certainly want to see it because that's a big part of your decision. Or if you're buying a watch, or if you're buying some kind of cosmetics product that you want to also understand how to use, you certainly want to see it. And on video, it's much better than just in a still image. And then the second bucket is being able to see the expert that you're getting advice from. And that's true about so many things in our life. For example, 10 years ago, all the work calls that I used to take were in a conference room with this phone system in the center of the desk, right? And today it's shifted 100% to video calls because there's so much value that's added when you and I are looking at each other like we are right now through Zoom in this case. The same is true also for when you want to speak with your banker, when you want to speak with a customer support rep, or as part of a retail purchase process, when it is high consideration, when you are getting advice and feedback from the person selling to you. And of course, the overlap of those two buckets, so both being able to see the product and also being able to see the expert, is really powerful. So we try to find those use cases. In some cases, they're niche, like you said. In some cases, they're quite common, where where really the video is adding a lot of value and it gives you a real personalized experience on the website.
I like that. I like the idea of looking someone in the digital eye, right? I have my camera at the top of my screen here, so I can kind of make it look like I'm looking you in the eye, and I can see your reactions too because your face is right under the camera. It's a lot different than a phone call with a car salesman where you're like, is he? I go back to the car salesman thing for some reason. No offense to car salesman, but is he like elbowing his manager saying, "Hey, do you think they're going for this?" Or
Right.
you can see, versus you can see them talking and they're pointing out the features of the car or pointing out the features of the product that they're showing you, and you can see their body language. Are they making big outlandish motions like this, like you're not supposed to make in a business meeting? Or they're being, sort of trustworthy CEO, like, in between the eyes and the chest, hand motions. I like that a lot. I like the concept of this. And I think for people like me who don't like to shop, I do not, my definition of hell is going to a mall or to going to a some like a retailer and spending an afternoon doing that, looking for things for myself. Like that is for me, that's the biggest waste of time. But I also like to try new things and like to I like the idea of shopping. I just don't like doing it.
Mm.
So this is for someone like me. This is our a digital consumer like me. I think this is kind of the best of both worlds. I like people. I'm just relating this to myself. I like people. I don't like to be sold. I don't like to spend time shopping, but I like to shop. I think this is kind of it scratches that itch quite a bit.
Yeah. And I think there are advantages to e-commerce or online shopping, right? I was at the Home Depot a couple of weeks ago, and I don't even remember what it was I was looking for, but there were many options on the shelf. And I felt like it's a real dumb process because I can't see reviews. When I shop online, I look at the reviews and that helps me make the
Yeah.
decision between one item or the other. In the
Hmm.
store, all of a sudden I realized, hey, my mind is so accustomed to looking at reviews, looking at the ratings that you don't have when you're in the store, that it's less of an efficient process for me. Now,
Hmm.
in my view, combining that with an expert opinion, which you may get at the store, you may not, is really powerful, and that's really marrying the best of both worlds.
Yeah, this is an empowerment thing. I like this a lot. Let's talk a little bit about the company and the team. We've spent some time talking about the product, which I'm sold, as you can tell. And we'll talk about how people can get in touch with you and how they can get a demo if they're looking to build this SaaS platform onto their customer experience platform currently. But tell me about when you came in, the biggest challenges of having that remote team, or was it not a challenge at all? Did you prefer that, and you're able to do this turnaround and start this turnaround because of the remote aspect of it? Tell us about when you came in, the biggest challenge.
Well, there were certainly many challenges. I'd say the effect of the biggest challenges was the fact that we were burning a lot of cash. So unfortunately, I had to cut back on a lot of the spending. And what I decided to do at the time, very quickly, which by the way is I think a key, um, it's a key thing to focus on. You have to take action quickly. If you delay
Action.
things,
Oh,
you're
okay. Action.
spending more.
Yes.
Yes. Um, we let go. We had two outsourced teams, one helping out with engineering, one helping out with QA. We let them go immediately and really double down on the in-house team. We also cut back on offices. So we had a few offices in the US. The ratio of people to offices was something like 2 to 1, which is unbelievable. There were small offices, there were shared offices, but still there was some insane spending. And we went fully remote in the US. That took a little bit of time, maybe about a year, but we eventually were now fully remote in the US. In the UK, we have a little bit of a larger presence, and there they still do go. They still have an office. They still do go in. Some of the team goes in every day. So we found what's right for us in terms of this hybrid office and remote. In the US, we're now spread out across the country. We also have a couple of people in Europe that work from home full time. Um, and we try really hard to get together in person quarterly or maybe sometimes every other quarter. So I think that's critical. And we also have a monthly all hands that I never miss. We'll absolutely have it every single month. If we have to postpone it by a day or by a week, that's fine, but it will always happen. So there is this heightened level of transparency, and people have accessibility to all the data in the company at any point in time. So making sure that everything is on the table, and even people who are working remotely and are far away from others still feel like they have all the information in front of them, and they don't feel left out because they're far away.
Okay.
I
So
didn't, I didn't, I didn't fully answer your question though. There's we could talk for hours about all the challenges that we had and everything. But what, in hindsight, thinking back to where we were, and this is almost 3 years later, it was critical for us to right size our spending to our revenue. And it took a little bit of time, but we got to a point where we're break even. We're a little bit, this month will be a little bit profitable even, because without that we wouldn't be able to sustain the company. So that was critical, and really we had no choice. So that was top of the priority list to get to a point where we're spending the same amount or less as we're bringing in. And then given the venture capital environment, or our ability to raise money, we did raise a little bit a year and a half ago, but we have to be very conservative and grow organically, which we've now managed to be doing over the past year.
So I heard two things. I heard, and I always rephrase something and take credit for what the interviewee says, but cash flow is like water, right? I mean, if you don't have water, you can't live. So
Yeah.
if you're spending more than you're taking in, you do not have cash flow. So number one was get your cash flow balanced, get the balance sheet in order. I do actually want to go back to your blueprint or your template for hybrid working, because you did see that in retrospect, it's glaringly obvious. Two people to every one office is probably a waste of money. It's absolutely a waste of money. But you'll have camps that say, I want to be in person. You have camps that say remote is 10 times better. You can't convince me otherwise. How did you come to the conclusion that hybrid works for this particular SaaS company, or maybe all SaaS companies? And what are the different, you mentioned how many times you get together for all hands and quarterly meetings. What are the times where it's absolutely vital that you see your team face to face versus remote?
I think one of the key tenets is not to make any assumptions, or not to take anything as a rule. It might be right for one company, but not be right for another. Given the people that we have, and now at least in our US team, we've turned over almost the entire team. So we've hired people into the current environment, which is critical. If you have a team that's been hired to be in an office, and then you have to transition them, it may or may not work. But when you hire someone who from day one was hired to be a remote worker, I think it's completely different, right? Because the standards are just different, especially if that person lives in a relatively remote place, where it's a huge win for them to score a job that is 100% remote. So
I'm hearing it has to be around the people. Don't con somebody. Don't say this is the job, and then they get there and it's they thought it was going to be face to face with Tomer, and you're never face to face with Tomer, and vice versa.
yeah.
I prefer, you can't sell someone on a certain culture and then create a culture that's not what you sold them on, right? I like that a
Also,
lot.
when you're interviewing someone for a particular environment, right? It's someone may be a good fit, and then it's a different environment, they're no longer a fit. So I think that has to be again top priority. Um, the the meetings that we do, and we're small enough where I can have a one-on-one with every single person in the company every month or two. So that's also, it's an advantage. It makes it easier. If we were 100 people, it may be a bit difficult.
What is your total employee count or head count right now?
We're around 20. So we have our leadership team is 3 people. It's myself and 2 others. So it's relatively easy to manage at this point. And we're also more or less across 2 geolocations. That makes it easy culturally as well.
Much easier, yeah. Once you hit that 50, what I find with my clients, once you hit that 50 employee mark, that's another time when you'll probably need some advice and need some coaching or some a CEO peer group to help you walk through how to handle that change in size and reporting structure and just overall growing pains of being a larger company. but 20 is perfect. You have the right people, it seems like, lined up, that you've created an environment that they expect coming into it, right? And their preferred environment for working. Um, Tell me a little bit about the vision of the company. When you're interviewing, if I were to interview as a new executive, what would you want to hear in terms of are you, Kurt, aligned with my vision for where this company is going to be in 5 years?
So I think the vision of what we do being just very common and prevalent out there is critical. I still don't have a great answer why you don't see video chat on every single website out there, especially in retail. I think it's such a no-brainer for some industries. But obviously believing in that and working towards that is critical. A lot of what our product delivers, I think, is also important to the culture. It's being, customer first. It's really focusing on the experience, whether that be the experience of an employee or the experience of a customer or a prospect. So that's a key cultural vision or view that I look for.
Well, I'll give you my opinion on the video thing. I think more and more you're bucking the trend. Like the trend is, okay, people are expensive. People cost money. They have benefits. They are the biggest costs to a company, right? You're saying, but that's the most valuable thing we can offer our clients is our people. Our people, their time face to face when everyone else is going to a chat bot or AI, we're doing this. So to me, it's okay, well, there's going to be some cost involved there. I would think if I'm a client using your SaaS platform, this is going to be expensive. Am I right in assuming that, or?
It's certainly more expensive than having a bot. And we do offer the bot services as well, but typically our flows on the bot or on text chat is to drive people to the video chat, to the one-to-one. And it's probably not right for 90 or 95 or maybe even 98% of the use cases, and that's fine. We want to focus on the ones where it does add value. And I think a good way to think about it is when someone walks into a store, you typically want to speak with them, right? You don't want them to go check out on their own, right? Because speaking with them, first of all, gives you the opportunity to give them a better experience so they come back, but it also gives you an opportunity to upsell them and to make sure that they buy as much as possible versus the self-checkout. So the same is true as online. Our customers typically want to engage with every single person that enters the website, despite the costs associated with that. So if we're aligned there, then we kind of passed the first hurdle of selling our platform. And the cost of our platform is actually it's really not an issue. The cost of the people that they put in place is much greater. So we're arming the rep with the tool. The cost of the rep is much greater than the tool itself. So
Fascinating.
it's not, the cost is really not an issue. It's more about being aligned on, do we want to talk to every single person that clicks into our website, just like you would ask the same question in an in-person scenario.
Tomer, I find this fascinating. We came around to it at the end here that you're a people first, people centric, digital customer experience business, which is what everyone craves. You're wondering the same thing I'm wondering. Why aren't more companies doing this? I kind of gave you my answer, which is it costs a lot of money. But if you can do this, you can figure out a way to deliver, a people first customer digital experience. This company could skyrocket in value, and I think that's kind of your goal. I'm going to cut the interview off short today because I know you have other things to get to, like growing the business and meeting with big clients. But let's do this again. I really enjoyed this, Tomer, and let's do a part two sometime toward the end of the summer, early fall.